BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes.
Cool.
And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team, have faith in that team.
You know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, it can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Trevon Diggs, pick six. Coming, they see it, knocked away. Oh, Gregory! Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
Happy Wednesday, Cowboys Nation. Pick Six fam. We're in the building. Fresh. Maybe we've all had the opportunity to maybe walk around a little bit, maybe hit the gym and work off these 50 burgers from Sunday night as everybody got fat and full. Hope you're doing fantastic on this holiday season. As you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's not full force in the Christmas time, but boy, you got to start kind of ramping it up a little bit, getting ready. The fat man's about to be coming to town and doing his job around here, right? So hope everybody's doing fantastic. And of course, Santa slid down the chimney for Pick Six Sports and brought us a gift. It's Mary, ladies and gentlemen. Mary's back. Mary, long time no see. How are we doing?
I'm great. I had some work to catch up on before vacation, and then vacation was over Thanksgiving. I went to Barbados. It was amazing. It was so beautiful, and they owe me nothing. And then last week I was on my flight back from Barbados, so I couldn't make it. But I'm happy to be back. I missed y'all. I've been keeping up as much as I can, so I'm excited to talk about what we got going on today.
That's a Big 10-4. She's here today. She might be going tomorrow. We just never know, so you got to stay tuned to see. But we know she's here today for sure. With that being said, Spoonie, man, how you been doing this week so far, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm in New York City, of course. Everybody knows that. How folks are rude, especially Giant fans. With the OBJ situation. I'm not part of negotiate. Why y'all mad at me for? Don't get mad at me because he went inside your stadium and your facility and he went, what the hell is this? Now let me go back to the Star where the facility is much better, it's more bright. I mean, y'all didn't entertain him. Y'all just invited him. That's y'all fault. But I'm doing good, DJ. And people.
Yeah, big facts. It might be we got a little something for the sermon today, extra too.
I'm ready too. I'm ready to
stick around for that. And maybe a smidge. The weather it gets you a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I got some type of cold. I don't know, some congestion going on, a little bit of coughing, but I'm good. No fever, upset stomach, or anything bad. Just the nasty stuff, clearing throat and all that stuff. So I'm on the injury report. I'm questionable, but I think I'll be okay to play this game.
I mean, it looks like you're active. You know,
I was good to go. Limited today at practice, but I'm here.
Yeah, he was never ever doubtful. He was just a little questionable. But here he is, live in the building. What's going on? So my guy, Danny the building. What's good? Oh my bad. Go ahead. You hit that back. I'm just taking it off, but just
yeah. Our guy Marcus Hardison. Shout out to him. As I get older, I realized lost money can be found. Lost time is lost forever. Learning to learn and changing yourself is a superpower. Your best teacher is your last mistake. That was just fire.
Preach.
Quote. Put it up there.
Yeah, big facts.
Love it.
As I always say, it's for me in general in life. You see it on my Facebook. Always forward. That's credo I live by personally. But that being said, guys, we played this game Sunday night, and it's a little up and down, and 21-19, and then if you went and got you a drink of water, or you might have went and used the restroom real quick, you came back and all of a sudden it was 54-19. I mean, even the Colts player was like, it was all a blur, like out of nowhere where this game was and what happened. Mary, boy, here to our fourth season doing this, but we haven't seen something like that from the Cowboys, have we?
No, we haven't. And, starting out watching the game, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're like, oh, here we go. Because they're doing like they're playing down to the competition. They should be better than what they're playing. But then they just exploded. And I said it before the game. I know I'm on Twitter. I was joking. I was like, I want 50 points. I said I wanted 5 sacks and at least 2 turnovers. And I think we got 5 turnovers and 2 or 3 sacks and the 54 points. So I was literally joking, but they just pulled it off. It's like they were like, oh wait, we forgot Mary said this. So let's finish the fourth quarter.
From Mary's lips to the Cowboy God's ears, if you will. Yeah, the thing we've learned the last 2 games, and we talked about this after the Giants game, is unlike last year, right? Last year, we kind of knew, we kind of sleptwalk or whatever was going on in that first half. We just kind of look at each other and be like, all right, it's going to be one of those games, guys. Mm-hmm. And the Cowboys have ultimately kind of seemed over the past couple of weeks, trending anyways. They have a switch now that they didn't have last year. And whenever they flip that switch, it's caddy bar the door, right? It's just caddy bar the door. And man, and as they said, it was a blur. And 33 points, ladies and gentlemen, the most the Cowboys have ever scored in a fourth quarter. I think it's the 4th most points in NFL history in the fourth quarter. And for the Scorigami fans out there, it's the first time a game has ever ended 54-19. So there's that. Spoon, you was probably running through a wall during the fourth quarter, I'm sure.
I can't imagine
what was going on.
I mean, listen, I'll say this. I feel that the Dallas Cowboys watched us. We hear this man that he said that she was joking about the 50 burgers, right? Me and Professor O, we both said over 40. We was close in the 40 burger range, and it was like, well, that's not enough. We could give you more than 40 burgers. They gave us a 50 burger. And last but not least, BJ Nix, when he says it's 20-something points he put out there, he says, show me more. So everything that we have said last week, the Dallas Cowboys responded basically saying, we are for real. I'm going to show BJ more. We're going to score more points than what Professor and Spoon said. And Miss Mary, don't ever joke about 50 points. Just ask about it. And you're going to receive. So, I'll say this. I don't care who the opponent is. That is not easy to do. It's not.
Facts.
It is not easy. I don't care what me. We're not puppets here. We always keep it 100 here. That is not easy to do. That was very impressive. So, with that being said, I don't care if you're a 1-15 team and we do that. Guess what? It's not easy to do. It's easy to do. Then every team should try to be able to do that. They can. Not everybody. Everybody doesn't have what we have, and what we have right now is cooking something good. And
I mean, 100%, you're right, because it's just funny to me, since Dak Prescott has been back in the lineup, we're back to number 1 offense. So clearly, everyone can't do it. Everyone cannot do it. it's crazy to me how you try to downplay certain things and then you haven't been doing it all year. Like, no one scored over 50 all year.
Yeah, and I don't think
Whether it's defense included or just
yeah, I mean,
like
it's
no
still
one's
fine.
doing
I mean, it matters. And over the last year, talking about the 49 and up points and the number of games that the Cowboys have over the past 2 years, the league combined doesn't have more. So there's that. But going to this game though, in this offense, the running attack, they got pretty busy. And Mr. Lamb, ladies and gentlemen, are we questioning Lamb about being that number one? Oh, is he looking a little number one-ish now?
No, he looks number one-ish. It's one of those things too. Like I've seen people on Twitter say, well, the Cowboys are force feeding him. And my rebuttal to that is the Cowboys are doing what we asked them to do last year. That's exactly what we asked them to do. Just give him hits. He's a top caliber player, and the more you feed him the ball, the more he's going to produce. And he's doing that both in the slot and outside. So it was great to see. I even liked, I know when it happened, like probably the second play, we did the jet sweep to CeeDee Lamb, picked up 5 or 6 yards, something like that. And then immediately did another jet sweep again. Typically what Kellen Moore and I think what the defense expects is when you show that jet sweep motion, the second time they're going to do, it's a play action or some type of misdirection off of it. And we actually handed the ball and the defense wasn't expecting it. That was actually genius play calling by Kellen Moore.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels good to say that because we don't say that a ton about Kellen Moore. But I think the Cowboys fans are a little bit more embracing of some of the play calls. And even the 2-point conversion attempt, I low-key love that. I love that. It didn't work. It was a disaster, but I kind of love that play call because I'm like,
I love the play call, but it
didn't work.
Yeah.
But back to your point of the run game, we even got to see our
well, me and Matt are on the
and
Don't Tuck It team. Me and Matt on the Don't Tuck It team.
Look, and I'm completely okay with the not tucking it. But when you're 2 yards out and we're doing 2 different things to get this ball into the end, it was a little too much for me. But back to your point in some of this motion that you're talking about, like the 3rd and 2, great play design here from Kellen Moore. It's 3rd and 2. You have Lamb in motion. As soon as he gets past Gallup, the route that you have Gallup run, it's just an easy pitch and catch for a first down. I'm right there with you though. Overall, on team Don't Tuck It. I'm there too, but I don't like that call. The play design and what he was doing was really good Sunday.
Yeah, the pre-snap motion and there was a lot of different play calls in general and different formations you saw. Where you saw twins on either side, stacked with the receivers stacked behind each other. We haven't seen that look all season. That was the first time we've done that. Mm-hmm. So Kellen is implementing new things. So overall, I was really pleased with the offensive game plan. And it's kind of funny because everybody, all Cowboys fans in the first half, when we're letting this team stick around, right? You're playing with your food and it's 21-19. You're playing an offense that's averaging 15.8 points per game. And they've already put up 19 on you.
Mm-hmm.
This is an offense that throws the ball short 79% of the time, 10 yards or less, and they've aired it out on you. And still, we were on pace for 40 points. We were already on pace for a 40 burger in the first half, and all of us kind of had this nasty taste in our mouth because the defense wasn't doing what we were expecting them to do. And then in the second half, there was blood in the water, and the Sharks came out. And that's one of the things we talked about last offseason. When we were talking about Mo Kennedy, right? With all these interceptions that he's getting in training camp. And then you start seeing Deshaun Wright have his big practice or two where he gets interceptions. And then you start hearing about AB picking off passes. We see the same thing with sacks too. You may not get a sack in the first quarter. Maybe somewhere in the second quarter, Dorrance Armstrong, Tank, whoever it might be, gets a sack. And then they just start coming in flurries. We see the same thing with turnovers too, with takeaways, I should say. The defense, all it takes is that one thing to make the offense crumble. Because now suddenly the pass rush starts hitting home, quarterbacks start rushing the passes, and you pick it off or you force a fumble. And then from there, it just snowballs and the game's over. And it was a great quote by the Colts wide receiver, but he said, we were right there. It was a 2-point game. And then I blinked. It was a blur. Suddenly we're down. To your point with the fourth quarter points that we scored, I have to throw this little jab at our division rival, but the New York Giants, I brought it up last week on our show, I think on Wednesday, but they haven't scored over 30 points in a game in 40 consecutive regular season.
Yeah, it's been like
we did that in the
seasons.
fourth quarter. We literally scored more points in the fourth quarter than the Giants have since October of 2020. That's crazy. Just to kind of not only just take a jab at them, but to show how monumental that explosion was in the fourth quarter. It's just crazy. So both the offense and defense went into the locker room, and the offense just said, let's just keep doing what we're doing and just take it up a notch. And the defense said, let's just not do what we did in the first half and this game over.
Let's just
so
get
it was
this
great
ball.
to see.
Yeah.
What'd you say again? Explosion, if you will, of
I mean, I
32
think they were
points.
giving us early Christmas. You know, they were like, you know what? We're in Dallas.
Oh, we don't know early Christmas.
We're glad to be here.
Let's see.
Here you go, guys.
Yeah, well, we need that early. We need that. We need our Christmas Eve love. We'll get to that later.
No, it's that
can't wait
advent
for
calendar where every day you get a new thing.
Oh, you get a
Every
treat.
day.
Oh, you get a treat.
You get a treat.
It was like that. They were like, yo, Malik Davis, you're up. Go score a touchdown.
And kind of putting, and we'll kind of put a cap here on this Colts game and kind of pivot forward. But to me, one of the things was, even when the game was close, I thought the big key was they wasn't hurting us where we thought we would be hurt. Like they wasn't running the ball and breaking the run and doing those things. And you have to believe at a certain point with this team and where they're at in this year. Keep throwing the ball. Eventually, you're going to get burned with this Cowboys defense. That's just where they are and how they're built. So that was the one thing for me during the process there. Now, obviously, 21-13, the defense gets the great stop. The Cowboys get the ball actually on the Colts side of the field. Boom. Not a lot of penalties. They were very clean. It was a very clean game from the Cowboys, which is great. Yeah. And no pre-snap penalties. But you had the penalty for first and 20. Maybe the worst stretch of calls there from Kellen during the game was on that first and 20 and how that kind of panned out. And then they go get the score. But it was never the run game of Jonathan Taylor hurting this team. And I was like, eventually you're going to get got. And that's exactly what happened. So the game within the game for me with this Colts game was the way that they were staying in the game isn't what they've been good at this year. And it's not the one thing that we've worried about with the Cowboys defense. And now you kind of look at the row there of Cook, Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. You can kind of start saying, hey, this team defensively against the run is starting to turn a corner here possibly, and how these guys, they face them and how they've limited them in the games. But it's still Kobe system, Spoon. Don't you worry for me. It's still Kobe system. Hey, that's great. I enjoyed the Kool-Aid through Monday. More. Do it again. Texas got a great rookie running back. I don't want to hear it. Do it again.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to him.
Yeah,
no, I agree with everything you said, because I was very, very worried about. I mean, I feel like after watching the Cowboys for so many years and the struggles we've had stopping the run, whether it's a quarterback or a running back, it's still hard, even if you do well, to to have faith, because you just never know. And Jonathan Taylor's a really good running back. So I was very glad that we were able to limit him the way we were able to. And I just want the same thing to keep going forward. We just got to keep going. We just got to build on that, because
I think it's funny when Spoonie said the Cowboys hear what we're saying and they take action, talking about Mariella with the 50 burger.
Yeah. I know.
It was like the first quarter. And I was already like, when is Malik Hooker and the defense going to start rolling over coverage to help out? Because we've been beaten week after week after week with teams just going deep. Like, what is Malik Hooker doing? And then he has a fumble recovery, scoop and score, and an interception. I'm like, my bad, Malik. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Listen, I heard you all.
I really feel like they, it's like some osmosis. They feel us.
There it is.
They channel our show. We have like some kind of superpower. That's what I'm going to believe until further notice.
Line. Yeah, direct line. Direct line. Dadgummit, direct line. Gallup again, obviously a little early, some things were happening there, but overall throughout that game and kind of things we've been talking about here and moving forward is he started with the Minnesota game. We saw it once again in the Giants game. I think it's another check mark with him physically and what's going on with him, as we saw against the Colts, which is just great for the Cowboys moving forward. We'll get to some of these other little roster moves that are happening as well. I'll spin the block here. Start with you, O. Go the other way. Colts game. Put a cap on it. 54-19, and your walk away from this game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this happen league wide. We saw it with the Eagles. You play a team that you expect to roll over, and they hit you in the mouth and it's an ugly game and you're able to scrap by and win, that's great. We didn't do that. We could have very easily just been like, let's just stick with what we're doing. Let's not make a lot of adjustments. We should still be able to win this just because we have better Joes than they do. But the Cowboys did, what they did in the fourth quarter is insane. It was great to see CeeDee Lamb show up and say, hey, I'm wide receiver one. It was great to see Michael Gallup getting 2 touchdowns, and one of those was a great play by him when Dak rolled out of the pocket to extend the play, and then Gallup made a great adjustment to work himself open. So overall, I was thrilled with the second half. I definitely think the first half is ugly. That Cowboys team that showed up in the first half is not a team you want to show up in the first half against a strong opponent, but you need to win games in the NFL. Style points don't matter. It's not the BCS and college football playoffs and things like that. A win's a win, 1 point or 30 points, but there is something to beating a team and putting up 50 points on them. It's an NFL team, and it's a team with a good defense. I think that's what's kind of getting lost in the mix. People look at their record and they're like, well, they were a 4-7-1 team. True. But they were a 4-7-1 team with the top 15 defense, and we put up 50 points on them. That stuff matters. So continue to take that momentum that we have now. We're on a winning streak. We have 2 more teams lined up before we play the Eagles. Handle business. We'll talk about the Texans next, but overall, I was excited to see the defense turn it up a notch all around. So that was great.
Big facts. Better script as well. Talking about these early starts, I think it's the biggest thing here to kind of correct that is we need them better scripts, better execution of the script of those 15-ish plays from Kellen Moore, not the 3 and outs, and kind of having to slowly crank up there. Spoonie, put a cap on it, man. These Colts 54, and we're moving on.
Damone Clark will be a Pro Bowler by year 3.
Oh, no, that's
Okay.
fair.
I'm gonna
Year
call it.
3, that's fair.
By year
Okay.
3, he'll be a Pro Bowler. I was very impressed how he kept on introducing himself to Jonathan Taylor every time he went to the back. How you doing? I'm Damone Clark. I'm number 33. I'm just giving you my acquaintance right here. This defense is contagious. They all feeding upon each other. You could definitely see the next man approach is going to work very good here because it's so relentless. And for a guy like Damone Clark, but he played 58% of the snaps last week, which is kind of very high, and he played very well. And as he keeps learning about the game and getting used to the speed of the game, the prediction of what folks really think about him, we're going to see that very soon. Guys like Deron Bland, how he stepped up with the 2 interceptions, that was big. This was his second or third game. I'm starting for J. Lou, and that's not easy to do. It's somebody coming in, he's already picking up the pace. I was just so excited for this defense, how they came out in the second half, and I love the accountability from Dak Prescott when the main question was asked. How did you guys X, Y, and Z? He gave the credit to the defense, and he said the defense is the reason why we're here able to do this. And I love the fact how he gave him that props. That's big. This locker room has accountability. You can definitely see, and the leadership is very strong there. It's not Dak and everybody else. It's Dak, D-Law, Michael Parsons. But you're gonna always keep hearing that push. Keep going, correct yourself, X, Y, and Z. That's for me is the start of a great team. Why? Because a head coach can't do all the time. A head coach can coach, but you can never when you're on the field and you have these players. That's the best thing about this football team here. And I know we're not talking about the playoffs yet. It's early. I know. Hey,
Reel it in, Spoonie. Reel it in.
I know. I do love where this team is going. Again, as I always say, we are one under the star, and that star is shining brighter than ever. So that's my cap on. That's my tie on the coach.
Mary, these 54 points you saw against these Colts and everything in between, where you at here? Put a cap on it for you in that game.
Oh, yeah. Just echoing a lot of what Matt and Spoonie said. I was like, throughout the whole game, I'm like, that's Deron Bland or that's Damone Clark. Like the whole time, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's exciting to see rookies who haven't even had the benefit of like starting in camp or getting a ton of reps to come out and to really take advantage of the opportunity and play well. It's amazing. And that's a testament to the coaching. It's a testament to who they are, and it's a testament to the leadership in the locker room and for them to flourish like that. I mean, that's amazing. So I'm excited to continue to see them develop, and I hope guys like Kelvin Joseph can like take heed to things like that, because we need him to be who they thought he was when they drafted him in the second round.
Yeah. They got a couple games for him to get right for the big matchup, obviously. Going to be intriguing. Now, before we get into some of these roster moves, Cowboys currently 9-3, and we'll kind of talk about some of this thing with Kelvin Joseph, because unfortunately Brown ruptured his Achilles. He is done for the year. The Cowboys are down there 2 of their top 3 cornerbacks now, with Lewis being out for the year and now Anthony Brown. So guys have to step up. We've seen Bland step up. Now it's about to be your number's being called, Kelvin Joseph. Time for you to step up. But the Cowboys at this point last year were 9-4, right? The Cowboys now currently are 9-3. And I'm kind of hearing some things from y'all like, hey, but look at what's happening here. And we kind of talk about, well, they found a way to flip a switch. And to a certain extent, I get it, because we kind of know how the year ended up playing out, and like it was disappointment. But overall, just think about the exact moment of the time. It just feels better, right? Because it seems like this team in December, instead of trying to find answers because of the quote unquote blueprint game, we're seeing them kind to, and Mary, what you said, flourish, right? And do some things. So it's crazy to be kind of the similar situation, but how it's built so differently with the Cooper Rush time here and how they're playing and seeing, which is funny, because some of the things with Dak, and look, I don't think, and this is where we're getting hammered on the post-game space and whatnot. Look, Dak didn't have a good game against the Colts.
No, he didn't.
He wasn't efficient.
He didn't. Yeah.
And I said, boy, how spoiled are we, where he was not really on par.
He wasn't bad, though. He wasn't terrible.
Touchdowns. He threw for 270 and 3 touchdowns on a quote-unquote off game.
Yeah.
And that's just the difference between having a rush here and what's going on. But the 9-3 to 9-4 situation, guys, wow, the similarities of the seasons, but seeing them kind of flipped on their head some.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely leave meat on the bone for you guys. But there, if you do just a true comparison side by side of last year's team and this year's team, yes, the records are similar. This team just feels different. And I know last year at this time we were like, well, this team feels different. But now that we have, the ability to look at last year in hindsight and look at the kicking situation, like just using something like that, I feel tremendously more confident in our kicker this year than I did last year. Looking at our punt returner, I feel tremendously more confident in our punt returner this year than last year. And then you can go through the defense and offense and do some, the run game versus last year's run game, the offensive line, knowing that we have Tyron Smith coming back versus last year's offensive line. There's a lot of things that all around, I would say I definitely like this team better than last year. But what I really like is the NFC this year versus last year. That's the ultimate level setter. So, yeah, I mean, this year there's a lot to be excited about. We're in good shape right now. And even looking at the playoff picture, like Spoonie mentioned, without going too deep in it, we're not that far away from Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. All they have to do is drop one game, because if we beat them on Christmas Eve, we will have a better division record than them. That's the first tiebreaker. So all you need the Eagles to do is lose one game to us in any other game this year, and we could win the division still and be the number 1 seed. So that stuff, will let it play itself out. We'll just worry about the Texans this week. But overall, 9-3 this year, I feel better about that than I did 9-4 at the same point last year.
Indeed. It's funny. Now, Cowboys have to win out also in that scenario or whatnot. But
it would,
yeah. I mean, nice to have a nice little ramp up here. But Mary, Cowboys Nation doesn't do. We've been to some of these noon games, these night games. Cowboys Nation doesn't really like noon games too much. And boy, the next what do we got? The next 3 weeks is noon Saturday. Noon Saturday.
I'll be at that Saturday game, ready to go with my little Cowboy Santa hat on.
Okay, ready to go. Look at it with the little Santa hat on. She's so ready.
That week, by the way, the NFL schedule makers butchered it. They butchered it because you have most of the league's playing on Saturday and Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
There's only a few Sunday games.
And
if you
they're
look at
bad.
the Saturday night, like Christmas Eve primetime game, it's trash. You look at the Christmas Day primetime show, primetime game, it's a bad matchup. Same thing with Monday night. Like I wish they would flex us to one of those and not that time slot. Because if you're a family with little kids, a 3:30 kickoff, a 3:25 kickoff, so you're ending at like 6:25 on Christmas Eve. That's kind of a bad time slot for families, but it is what it is.
Yeah, big facts.
Hey, let us single people live, man. Okay.
Hey,
I have my tickets
My bad.
already,
My bad,
and I'm
man.
ready to go.
I mean, also us retail business owners as well. I mean, Christmas Eve is the boomer bust where we put, we take the ball to the hole and slam it. And I'm looking at my guys like, hey guys, I know it's Christmas Eve, y'all. However, I'm dipping around 2:30.
Oh yeah, don't call me. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't page me.
I'm like, yo,
Tell them don't call me. Don't text me. Don't page
I
me.
believe in you guys to take this home. We're closing early anyways. We're closing at 6. I just need y'all to hold it down for your boy for about 3.5 hours. Let me get up out of here and go watch this game. They're all giving me the side eye, but I got some guys. I'm giving some time off this week, so I'm making it up for it on the back end, right? Let's get into some of this roster moves because obviously, as we were talking, down Brown, right? He's done for the year, cornerback. Unfortunately, Kelvin Joseph had some moments here in the Colts game. I know he got beat for the touchdown. The coverage wasn't terrible. He had some moments. Athletically, we're seeing some things, but now you got to walk through the door now, KJ. I mean, that's just where we're at and what's going on. Obviously, the guy that they signed in Sheffield, right, came up. They got into the active, and then they went and signed a former second-round pick, out of Clemson, a Minnesota former second-round pick.
Yeah, Mackenzie Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you think about him?
Well, I talked to Vikings fans. I know quite a few of them. They were kind of hit or miss, and they were like, it's really just going to depend on what you're asking of him. He's not a terrible player, but he's also not somebody you want to start. I'm like, I mean, that's kind of what we're expecting with that signing anyways. So it doesn't really excite me too much, but I know that there's obviously some familiarity there with having George Edwards on the staff, and he coached him when they were at Minnesota. Jaron Kearse played with him when they were at Minnesota. So Anthony Barr as well. So there's definitely some connections and familiarity there. And I think that's, good when you're coming to a new team late in the season and you may actually be called upon. I don't think he's going to play this week much, if at all. But with the way our cornerback roster is right now and the way things have kind of turned on their head since the Lions game with this, he may have to play, whether that's special team snaps or something. So not needing a huge ramp-up period could definitely be beneficial if he's called upon. But right now, it's not too big of an I'd actually say I'm more excited about Kendall Sheffield.
Right. And obviously the out of the gate move is going to be Wright starting. Wright going to the active roster to kind of take over for Kelvin Joseph on the special teams duty. And then Kelvin Joseph is going to go to the outside cornerback spot moving forward. And that's how they're going to start this thing. The thing that I like, and we're talking about McKenzie and what's going on, Spoonie, is just they didn't just say, hey, we like our guys, and we're just going to sit on who we have here, and that's it. They're at least trying and adding something to the position with these guys hurt and doing some things. So they're staying active. Some that we've asked from them before, and they are at least staying active and adding, a guy who's a former second-round pick to the roster, whether he's going to be there or not. But now it's about Kelvin Joseph and his opportunity, our second-round pick from 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's something great for any team. They know that the position they're in right now, they understand the things that they can do moving forward. The goals that they have are in sight. So when you have goals like that, you're able to make sure that if something falls apart, let's add something to that. Let's correct this. Let's do that. That's an active team, and that's the one thing that we all been screaming, pounding the table for. Stay active. If there's an injury, it's not about we like our guys. Put the best guy, and that's what it is. But I'm also excited, praise to Anthony Brown and everything. His surgery came out well. But at the same time, it is a good look to see these cornerbacks and Bland and Kelvin Joseph what we have, because that would tell us more about next year's draft, what to address and things of that nature. So we get to see these young guys who, again, I'm trying to be respectful and not sound like I don't like injuries at all. But at the same time, it is a good thing for us to see these young players come in right now and how much can they contribute on this team moving forward. So that way, if it's not into the Cowboys' liking, they could address the next offseason.
Yeah, and the league is about opportunity, and when the opportunity arises, it's your turn to walk through the door and do what you have to do here, Mary. Now, Mary, keeper of the candles. I don't know if they have a Kelvin Joseph candle at your shop,
They do
but we
not.
might need to get the Kelvin Joseph candle and light that thing, and let's see if we can get him up to speed pretty quickly here.
Yeah, no, I agree with. I saw some people in the chat saying like, and I've talked to some people on Twitter about it too, where sometimes you guys just need more reps. Me personally, I think that cornerback is the hardest position on defense, and so especially when you're coming in cold, you don't ever really get much practice with the ones. And so that can be hard, and a lot of things in football or any sport is mental, so it's about coming in there having some confidence. So it's just making some good plays, getting that confidence, and then okay, now I feel good, now I'm good, now I got this. It's hard. We talk about all the penalties he's gotten, which it has been a lot, but getting those penalties, like, oh, I got another penalty. Now I'm trying too hard, and now I don't want to get beat or get another penalty. Instead of like when you get more reps and it feels easier and you get something good that happens, then that helps you. So I think the extra reps, if he is willing to learn and work on it, then that will help him a lot. So I'm giving him a chance. We'll see what happens. We need him to walk through that door at this point.
Well, I think another good point to add to, not only is he coming in cold, but he also was sick last week. So he missed practice. So
he's sick today.
He is sick today.
Yeah, he's today.
But
that's
he
what
missed
I'm like
practice
very
reps
confused
and had to
about
come
that.
in cold. So I think it just kind of comes down to that issue. There is something to be pointed out too, though. He's a good tackler.
Yes,
There's a possibility it could help some of those perimeter runs that have been an issue for us. We'll see how that kind of comes to fruition, but that is something that I'm interested to see is, do they use him a little bit more physically, like a little bit more pressing? Because last year we used to press quite a bit with Anthony Brown, and this year he's playing off coverage. I'm interested to see, with a full game plan made with him in mind, if they change that approach or if we see him play off coverage as well.
Yeah, and that's even going to Bland. And what we saw from him in preseason, right, was he was a lot more physical from the slot position and the cornerback position than we saw from Jordan Lewis, and we've seen that kind of show up at times. So a little bit more physicality, possibly. Again, as we talked about it during this weekend and whatnot, when it comes to Kelvin Joseph, is like the talent is there. He only played 14 games in college. The talent is there. You do see and recognize the talent in the athleticism. The one thing I liked was when somebody, it was either sounds of the game or maybe it was the wrap up. I don't know. But I heard a thing where he was talking to Mike and saying, "I got your back." It was after the game and stuff like that. So I think for me, like the one check mark there was like, okay, he understands it. At least that's something.
He said that to Mike McCarthy.
He said to Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to me, I was like, okay, because at times you're like, is he committed? No, I don't want to say committed. I'm just, where is he at mentally? But that lets me know to be right there after the game and wouldn't have that conversation. I'm like, okay, I understand that he at least gets it and understands the timing and the moment and what's going on. So now the Cowboys have 2 games here moving forward. You have 2 games moving forward with the Texans, with Jacksonville to get ready for the big game on, which Mary will be there in her head. Obviously, she's already said on Christmas Eve. A terrible slot for me and Professor O's, we've already said, against the Eagles. The question there, though, was, is he McCollum? Look, who's had moment? We saw him what happened in training camp preseason, played well. Preseason, he had moments there. And in the regular season, right, with the Washington game, and there was another game too, he had opportunities in Burns and played well. So there are other options outside of, obviously we're talking about the McKenzie and the Sheffield, but there are other options back there, that they can play with here at the cornerback position if there are issues, right?
There are, yeah. Izzy's somebody that we're all big fans of too. So I'd love to see him get some more reps. We saw him actually at training camp take a lot of snaps in the slot when we were playing big nickel looks. And he was an outside cornerback in college. That's what he did. He was opposite of J.C. Horn at South Carolina. And in the SEC, he faced some pretty good receivers and some pretty good passing offenses. So it's not something that would be, drastically out of the realm of possibility that they could slide him in and let him play some slots or maybe a little bit outside coverage. So that's something we have in-house. And with a dynamic safety group like what we have, you could show a little bit more cover 2 looks, maybe not play quite as much cover 1 as what we usually do. So there's different ways that you can kind of mask things and help out if we need to.
Big facts. pivoting away from the cornerback position, what's going on there? There's a guy that practiced today. They practiced him while. You know the guy that practiced today? Y'all heard about that guy that practiced today? Mary? I see Mary's face. Oh, Mary's face lighting up over there. Mr. Tyron Smith practiced today. So with that being said, they activated the 21 days, right? Here we are. Things are moving along here. Do you think he plays? I don't think he plays this week, obviously.
No.
Do you think there's a chance he plays against Jacksonville?
I would bet he'll play against Jacksonville. I'll bet money on that.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll play this week, though. No.
I don't think he's playing this week, but the Jacksonville game I think is interesting. I think they want to get him playing before
Philly.
That part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And kind of going.
That's why I asked that question in the group earlier. I was like, wait, so it's activated now. He's practicing today, but he can still be. Hey, Queen, love you, miss you. But yeah, that's why I asked that question, because I wanted to make sure. But yeah, I think definitely he does.
And look, the quicker you can play and the quicker we stop doing this damn offensive line. Let me get on my soapbox for a second. Hold on. I know we already got through with the Colts game. I know. However, I have to make this point. I don't care about them playing with the offensive line when the game's in hand. I don't care. By then, sure, you want to put Peters out there, do this thing with Tyron Smith on the inside and whatever's going on. Man, that is absolutely fine with me. This, when the game is in balance and we're rotating and doing, and at certain points, Tyler Smith's on the sideline because I don't know why, because it seems like a damn good thing to do all of a sudden. Not a fan of it. Stop.
I agree.
Like, don't do that. Like, continuity and things of that ilk matter on the offensive line, especially. And look, that's playing with your food is what you're doing, because you're kind of showing a disrespect to the Colts. Like, actually, man, y'all cool, but we're going to get to what we want to get to during this. I just don't like it. Into the game, how they had done it previously, the game's kind of in hand. All right, we're going to kind of do some things. Completely fine there. But doing this within the game, and that's for me when Tyron Smith comes back, I'm guessing we won't have those those things happen anymore. It'll just be Tyler at guard, Tyron at tackle, and we're kosher. And we have great depth with Connor McGovern as your swing inside guy, and then of course you have Peters as your swing outside guy, which is fantastic to be able to build this kind of depth in this stage of the season in December.
Oh yeah, no, this is.
But stop playing with the line, guys.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean I do want to. I thought about that during the entire game, and it's something I wanted to bring up because I couldn't keep track. I wasn't fully, paying attention enough, I guess. But was there like certain plays where they were bringing in run more or pass more for either one? Because I couldn't keep track, but I noticed the switch, but which one was in for more run and which one was in more for pass?
Hey, Mary, watch this. I don't care. Don't do it. I don't care. I don't care.
Fair enough. Touche.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Touche.
I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm like,
it almost looked like they glitched to me. Like, I could understand bringing Peters in to slide Tyler Smith at guard, so that you can start getting some of those snaps. But they had McGovern in and took Tyler Smith out. I'm like, did you forget like what the switch was? Like, what happened here?
That's why I was confused. I was like, wait. I was like, that's what confused me the most, because I thought that if anything, it would be that switch, but it wasn't. So
I'm like, and then in Brad, the voice, obviously the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Shan was like, well, they're just making sure he works with Peters at guard too. I was like, okay, so does McGovern need to start working at right guard in case something happens to Zach Martin? We're gonna pull Zach Martin for a couple plays and just put McGovern on that side. Like, stop! This is foolishness.
Okay, so we were on the same page and we didn't even know it. Okay,
it's very true. But Tyron's back in the mix, and J-Dub, Washington, obviously with the quarterback and things that are going on and whatnot, quarterback, wide receiver. Jacksonville as well for y'all, or you think there's a chance he plays this week?
I think he might play this week, especially with the comments from McCarthy this week. So far, he's saying, he's definitely physically ready. We want to see him take even more action. He did a lot at practice yesterday, and that was Tuesday's practice. So I do think he'll be active this week.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if number 8 comes in here, we definitely want to have y'all know what number 8 is, right? Or soon to be number 8, right? Possibly number 8. So in case number 8 comes here, it'd be good to have that that with James Washington. I'm just saying that with James Washington getting some reps here, you get that adequate depth at wide receiver that we always wanted. But I know who number 8 is, right? I got to say that.
Professor might have had a jersey number ready for a particular guy if he happened to sign here. That's
He definitely did.
We on board with Professor with that one.
Right. So I think that pretty puts the cherry on top on the roster and some of the injuries and workout things, right? Oh, are we good there before we get to and let's just go ahead and now we can kind of put a capper here on the OBJ saga. So he came. We saw he helicoptered, he Mavs gamed, they looked at him, and there's nothing happening. The biggest thing here that what it would seem to be what we're hearing is he's not going to be ready until probably postseason, right? And kind of what I know I talked about, you were kind of same thing. The medicals was always going to be what this boiled down to, him getting done here. The Cowboys want him to be effective. If we're being honest, the Philly game and then throughout the season, they wanted to play some regular season games and get ready. And it looks like this right here, that he's not going to be ready to that point. I could have even said, about 5 weeks out before he's going to be ready. So that's where it is. Now, even with that being said, Jerry came out and said, we're still working on it, right? So ultimately, does the deal get done, Mary? Do you think the deal, Jerry came out and said it is what it is. 5 weeks is what we're hearing. Does the deal get done with the Cowboys and Odell Beckham?
Honestly, in my mind, I genuinely, I'm usually pessimistic, but I genuinely think it's still a huge possibility. The reason why is because I feel like we have everything, I think we check off everything on the list. As far as money goes, we don't know what either side wants.
Right.
So we can't really speculate on that. In my mind, I feel like, because before he even got here, they said they had talked to him and they were going to continue to talk to him and they had something planned. In my mind, if you know that you're super far away from the money and somebody is still rehabbing or technically not working out, then you both have an idea of where you can meet as far as money goes. I don't think that any team, whether it was the Giants, the Bills, or the Cowboys, met with him expecting fully that he was going to be ready to go in 2 weeks. I don't believe that. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that that's, I didn't even think that. I didn't even expect that. What I wanted always was for him to sign and be in the building and be in meetings and get acclimated in that. So I think it's a possibility only because even though he's not, I don't think he's the same guy he was when he was drafted. I don't think he's that same, out there, ooh, crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like what most fans view him as. I think that, but at the time, you see his face when he's walking through the Mavs game. You see how he's reacting to all the attention, him riding in a helicopter, all these things across the city. I think him seeing that and feeling that vibe is huge for him. He's one of those guys that needs to feel wanted. And then on top of that, you have a city where it was 75 degrees here when he visited.
Right.
Perfect weather. His family was already Cowboys fans. I think the whole vibe of it is something that's important to him. And then on top of that, we just keep winning handedly, and we're the top offensive in the league. And he already had a good relationship with our leaders in the locker room. So I think it's a huge possibility unless they just completely insult him, unless it's super far off. Von Miller said, it was way far off. Or Bobby Wagner said it was way far off. If it's way far off, that makes sense. But if it's even a little bit close, I think it happens because I just don't think that any of the teams really expected him to be fully ready immediately. I think they're fine with the playoffs. And then maybe next year and and putting in something about an injury clause. And I think that most teams were fine with that.
Okay. I had to crank up the fireplace again as Mary was coming. Just let Mary cook. I'm like, go ahead. I'm just got.
I mean, I knew I was talking a lot, but I was like, you know what? I ain't been here in like 3-4 weeks.
I was like, hashtag let Mary
y'all
cook.
gotta listen.
Yeah, I was like, let Mary cook. I just ran the fireplace and said, all right, guys, here we are. Let it happen. Let it happen. Real quick, Casey. Yeah, they did add Alexander, former second round pick for the Minnesota Vikings. So they did add a guy to the practice squad, and obviously they pulled up. Excuse me, Sheffield from the practice squad to the active roster. That's currently where it's at. Kelvin Joseph is going to be your starter, and then Nation Runt's going to kind of take over the special teams duties that Joseph had before him. And that's kind of what they're going to run to this Texas game and move forward there. Ultimately, Professor O, look, and I get it. The big hype was, is he going to be able to help you before you got to the postseason? Now, for all intents and purposes, it seems like that's out of the window, right? Shout out to Tank. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl.
He said, I'm tired of the circus. I was like, you know what? Me too, bro.
Okay. I said, okay, I hear you, D-Law. I hear you, D-Law. Right? So, but now it's adjusted a little bit. Oh, and you was out of the gate. You were like, hey, look, when this first started back at the very end of October, beginning of November, you're like, this isn't going to pan itself out until after Thanksgiving easily. And that's before the meetings were set up and everything. When you were talking about that, and obviously we've seen that kind of come to play out and come to fruition. Here we are now. Where's your gut feeling on now? You've had a pretty good beat on this so far, O.
Yeah, so last week I was super high that it was going to happen. I was like 95% confident it was going to happen. Knowing the state of his knee being further behind than what I was expecting, I'm down quite a bit, but I'm still probably more optimistic than a lot of people because the longer this lingers where the Giants still haven't offered him anything, the Bills haven't offered him anything, or at least we don't know that they've offered anything, that bodes well for us. And there was an interesting angle. We've heard different people make comments. Like last week when we heard Josina Anderson, she was the first one that I really heard say, if Odell plays at all this year. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait. Everybody else is talking about when Odell plays. And she mentioned it 2 or 3 times, like, if he plays this year. So that was kind of as Nick likes to say, a major key alert that radar spider senses started going off like, oh crap, maybe he isn't as far along as we thought. Because we heard Jay Glazer say before Thanksgiving he was going to be cleared that Friday the week prior. Yeah. He still can't work out. So he's further along than what we thought. So we're starting to hear different things. Jane Slater shout out to Aisha, on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, on the Dallas Cowboys podcast earlier today, brought up something. She kind of brought it up, mentioned it, and moved past it. And that kind of resonated with me. She said, I think Jerry sees OBJ as his Des Bryant from a marketing, merchandise standpoint. If you can get him cheaper than what you're expecting, that checks the box for Stephen Jones in the Cowboys organization. It adds a possible addition to your postseason roster in next year. But it also adds something from a branding standpoint. We know from the Cowboys, branding is very much so in their wheelhouse. It's always front and center. If they think they can get somebody like an OBJ who is a big personality and is well liked and is well respected and will sell jerseys, it may still make sense to sign him this year because you still have the off the field benefit of having him, the clubhouse benefit of having him, and maybe the potential of him being there for the postseason. And Kyle Yeomans brought up earlier today, his 11-month window is week 18. So he could potentially play the last game of the season if everything trends well. So I still think there's a possibility that this may happen. My 95% score is way down. I'm more like 45% now. But I think that's still higher than a lot of people who think that we're just completely out. And Jerry again today said, we're still working on it. And I think when you think about the situation, they had the physical results before he spent almost all day in the clubhouse yesterday. He was there almost the entire day. If they weren't planning on signing him, or at least had some instinct that they should sign him, or a beat on that, you probably cut the meeting short. There's no reason to prolong it and take him in a helicopter and fly him around and wine and dine and impress him. You already did that with the the way that the crowd reacted at the Mavs game and all the stuff that they did the day before, they kind of could have cut things off at that point and said, let's revisit this in 3 or 4 weeks. But they continued the visit because they still were trying to, move towards that conclusion. So I think there's a chance it'll happen. I wouldn't say that I feel great about it, but I think it's still in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think it's just the physical side of this. If there was an idea where they were going to sign him, he was going to miss just maybe 2 more games and then come play, I think it's a done deal. I think that's just the big hang up is once their doctors got to look at him, they saw kind of where it was and kind of had a better understanding of his physical side of things. That's where you're kind of indifferent to what you want to do. So I think that's just a big blow for that. And kind of took the wind out of the sails, right? Of getting here and being the guy that's going to contribute this season, specifically regular season, whether it's postseason or not. Big pause there. We'll see. Or week 18, as you said, we'll see on that. But I think realistically, what we're looking at right now is just simply where he's at physically. It's kind of put it on hold. I still think if he's going to sign this year, let me put it that way. If he's literally going to sign this year, I think he will still be in Dallas. Now, if he tables everything and waits till the offseason, then all bets are off at that point. Who knows what happens? But I think if he signs with the team this year, I think it will be with the Cowboys.
I
Spoony?
completely agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Spoony,
Yes,
I see a big smile over there, Spoony. What's up?
Look, I have a two-part answer, if I may.
Okay.
A two-part answer. So I'm gonna go with the first part. First of all, I was down on it. I was hype about it, but then down. Professor O put me back in last week, right? And I'm still high. I feel 99.9% he's gonna be a Cowboy. Now, again, I'm gonna tell you why. Not because I'm a fan. I'm gonna tell you why. BJ, a long time ago, we had a discussion about sign, trades, X, Y, and Z. You always said the eye test. Sometimes you're not going to be told what's going on, but just have the eye test. Well, here's the thing. My eye test today, why would Michael Parsons come out and say, hey, OBJ told me he's playing 5 weeks.
Right.
You've never heard of any player, whether you're a teammate or, again, could be a teammate soon. Nobody's ever talked about another player's availability, ever.
Baker's with the Rams, Steve. The
Right.
Rams got Baker.
So my thing is this. For Michael Parsons to say this, I'm taking it as if they know something that we don't know yet, and it was given the okay to come out there. I'm not wilding yet, very soon. It's getting started. So right there,
I like tequila, guys, in case
why would Michael Parsons come out and say those things? Why would he do that? And I think they had a conversation within the team in the locker room saying it's okay to talk about. Because what it did was it eased it down. When you hear he's not playing for the season, folks thinking that we in week 1. We already in week 13, week 14, 13, week 14. 5 more games. No, I never thought he'll come in here and play 2 weeks from now. I always felt the earliest would be the Eagles game or maybe Washington. And I get that they want to see him. But again, what Professor O just said about marketing coming from Miss Aisha, that's another point with Jerry Jones. Now, Jerry Jones always in a suit and tie. He comes in the office today, regular hat, jeans. That's like BJ.
Yeah, the camo hat. It was interesting.
I was like, oh, he been working.
You can go to work. I gotta go to the office and do some paperwork. Come on. So, in my opinion, 99.9% the deals will get done. Now, for my second part, I'm going to tell you why. Just give me 1 second. If you think I was wilding out with my first, wait to hear my second one.
Oh my gosh.
We still got to cover the Texans, y'all.
I think while we're waiting on Spoonie's second point too, all of us said all along, we want Odell for the postseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we say that,
yeah.
you're assuming you have at least a couple games of game reps first before the playoffs. Because I saw some people in the chat say, do you really want his first snaps to be in the playoffs? And that's totally fair. Got to keep in mind, though, he would be practicing before that, though. So even though he would be physically taking his first game reps potentially in the playoffs, he would be practicing with the team for 1 or 2 weeks at minimum before then. But my bad. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Spoonie. Go ahead, Odell.
Now,
okay, Odell Spoonie Jr.
To know how I felt when I visit Dallas, Let me explain something. My first trip, I went to New York Giants, my familiar house. It stunk. I didn't like it. There's nothing there for me moving forward. There's nothing there. I don't know what they're going to do next year. I am 30 years old. There is no reason for me to be on a team that I don't know who will be my teammates next season. Scratch that off. I went to Buffalo. My man Vaughn, I love you, Vaughn. You told me to come over there. Now today, you announced you out for the year. Maybe it's because I told your GM I'm not coming. And now you made your announcement. Knowingly, you could have made it earlier. You almost got me. I love you, Vaughn. I really, really do.
You almost
now, the reason why, now, when I went to Dallas, it was so beautiful when I went to Dallas. I went to the Dallas Mavericks game, and it was fantastic. Beautiful. People was calling my name. They was chanting me. I sat next to the defensive player of the year and Michael Parsons, or Diggs, or maybe defensive player of the year for one and MVP for the other. I sat with both of them on the floor. The fans was chanting my name all throughout the game, and I'm not even playing. After that, I went out to eat. The bill was $20,000. I had steak, shrimp, wine, Julio's. I had it all. I was treated. I didn't go to no damn restaurant in Buffalo or New York where it was cold and raining and I'm freezing my ass off and the waiters didn't come get the food. I went served. They served me my food on time. I sat there in a round table with Dez Bryant. I love Dez. I sat there on a round table with the other Dallas Cowboys play and they embraced me. It's different in here in Dallas. After that, I went on a helicopter ride with Jabby Jones. And that was great. I felt like I was on the Love Boat. Me and Jerry talking, getting it out. Me and Jerry are the same. We love attention. We love the attention. We love the people to keep us in the media. We love it. We cherish it. I love you, Jerry. Jerry loves me. Now, for the important question, listen, I'm not that healthy. I know I'm not healthy like that. But here's the thing, Cowboy Nation. A 75% of my game of who I am right now is better than what anybody else can offer you around the league. And then after that, the offseason, you're going to get 100%. Now, I may not be the same RBJ in 2016 when it drafted, but the one that would play last Super Bowl, I was on my way to Miami in that game. Y'all remember that, right?
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. That's the game. That's the player you would get from me. From me in this Cowboys. Me, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, the offensive line, Zeke, Tony Pollard, Malik Davis, Dak Prescott. What? And you ask me why? And you ask me why I would come to the Cowboys? That's my answer, y'all. You know what? Last but not least, last thing, Cowboy Nation, I love y'all. And I have a thing. Because through the records, when I played with the New York Giants, we barely beat y'all. So my new thing is, if you can't beat them, join them. I will soon be in your city very soon.
I mean, you heard
OBJ. I'm glad OBJ was able to join us tonight, guys. From his lips to God's ears and Jerry's checkbook.
I mean, he didn't tell not one lie. I mean, I know that. So
yeah, I mean, there wasn't that.
I'm ready to go rehab. I love you guys.
I didn't find a line there either. Oh, God bless America. Oh, I wasn't ready for that. Was not ready.
You never know what's going to happen.
But you never know. I mean, OBJ had to
Sports.
come on and kick it and give us his side of things there when he was down. When he was in Dallas and doing his thing. All right, yeah, okay. Make sure he's going to do that rehab there, Spoon. Yeah. Make sure that's going down. All right. Well, as we put to bed the Odell saga, and we'll see how things move forward. We do have a game this week, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a game this week, noon, against the Houston Texans, the Battle of Texas. And, we got an injury report for them and us. Do we have an injury report perhaps? Yeah, we got an injury report right there.
It's crazy.
Yeah. For the Cowboys, again, we're seeing some illness stuff, obviously. with Joseph. D-Law's limited, but that's kind of regular for D-Law at this point and how they're just managing what's going on with him. Sam Williams was sickness too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I don't know what's going on with the sickness here in Dallas. We've talked about this for like the past 2-3 weeks. It is what it is. But boy, we flipped that thing over to Houston. Holy cow. From former Cowboys legend Malik Collins over there on defensive line down to Jerry Hughes, their best pass rusher. I mean, it's a who's who for them. And you see a lot of D linemen. Looks like Brandon Cooks, the guy that we try to trade for, what's been going on there. He's not going to play. Nico Collins is in trouble there. And magically now they are going to go back. Yeah, and they're going to go back to Davis Mills at quarterback this week, guys. But, I don't like to use the T word in the NFL, that tank word, but boy, it's sun's getting low for them over there, fella.
It is, yeah, it's rough. They've lost 7 straight games. They've tried rotating quarterbacks. It hasn't worked for them. They just don't really have a lot of good stuff going for them. Here's a quick stat comparison just so you can see. So 9-3 versus 110-1. 27.8 points per game, third most. They are 31st with 15.7.
Oh wait, who's 32? Do you know?
Yeah, Denver Broncos.
Oh, makes sense. Okay.
The Cowboys scored one less touchdown last week than the Broncos have all season, which is crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
They're 23rd in scoring points allowed. They're 32nd in total offense, 29th in rushing, which is interesting because we're going to talk about the running back, who's pretty good. 27th in passing, 28th in total defense, 32nd in rush defense, 13th in pass defense, so keeping that in mind. 13th in kick return average, 15th in punt return average, so their special teams is not bad. They're 29th in turnover margin. They're doing a much better job than we are with penalties, but we expect that. But yeah, there's a quick comparison where you can take a look.
Oh, wait. Oh, you can't gloss over another one. Oh, just like we expect that. Now go oh.
I mean, that's just what we are. I do want to point out we have John Hussey as the officiating crew this week. That's good. His crew is calling almost 3 less penalties per game on average versus the league average officiating. So,
and what's the average?
It's like 11.6 penalties per game, and his is like 8.4 or something like that.
Okay.
So the crew is actually not bad this week. Hopefully that'll help. Maybe it being a noon game, we won't see them say, it's prime time. We got to make our name out there. Let's throw flags left and right. Maybe we'll see a little bit. Just let them play. We'll see. But yeah, there's a side by side. So as you can see, the Texans are a struggling team right now. They were the first team eliminated from the playoffs. They're the only team in the entire league mathematically eliminated.
Right.
They're not having a good year. Lovie Smith, I don't know if he'll finish the season. We'll see.
It's not fair to him, though.
Sure.
That's a whole nother conversation, but it's not fair to him.
How it goes in the NFL, though, we've seen that one year.
Yeah.
And they
We
pull the
saw
plug.
it over there with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, the Texas organization has a lot of issues.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but that's for them to figure out, and for us to wine and dine, if you will, on them come noon, and where they are. They're are trying to rebuild. They obviously got the trade package for Deshaun Watson and what they're doing. Now the one thing there is you're going through those stats, though. Boy, they can't stop the run. Ooh, boy.
Yeah, they've given up the most rushing yards this year. It's over 2,000 yards rushing against their defense.
Oh my god,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why, and when you look at the stats, you're like, well, their pass defense seems okay. It's mostly just because, like what we had in the years past.
You don't need to pass.
You don't have to. You can just run at ease. I think they're allowing 4.9 yards per carry, which is like the third most in the league, and they've given up the most rushing yards. So,
yeah, it's not going to be a good time, Spoony, for Mills. That is not going to be a good time.
Hey, I tell you this right now. I know the score prediction maybe still, maybe a little bit of too high, but I'm gonna stick with my score. But I tell you this is the type of game where if you want to see some guys and what they can do, I could definitely see them do that. We know Tyron's not playing. But this would have been a good game to see. But we know Jacksonville. But guys like Deron Bland and Kelvin Jones, if he starts, this is a great game for them. Because again, This could be the game that gives them momentum if we see Professor just put out the stats. So if David Mills is right behind Matt Ryan as far as interceptions, just imagine the kind of boost that we're going to get from the secondary, like Bland. Well, we know Bland last we had 2, but guys like Kelvin Joseph, or maybe it was Kendall Sheffield, if he's the guy they call. But those are the type. This is the type of game where this could give them momentum moving forward because they had a good game and they could just build off of it the next week. So I can't wait for this type of game. I don't care how ugly it will be for them. It is what it is.
Yeah. Now, they do have a very shining star for them. They do in that rookie running back.
Yes.
Even though, as the stats say, they're not running. You see where their yardage is and whatnot, just depending on who they're playing and what's going on. But the kid's got some juice to him. But boy, the way the Cowboys' rush defense has played thus far, the past 3 weeks, the stretch they've been on against the run, and the lack of everything else around him offensively, I just don't see a way that it matters.
I agree. I mean, he's so good. Damian Pierce. Aisha mentioned it. Shout out to her. She's amazing. Love her. She's a queen. She mentioned it earlier on Twitter where she's talking about watching him, and we've all seen him, how amazing he is. But they don't seem to really commit to the run. A lot of times they give up on it. Not sure why when you have a questionable QB situation. I, don't watch that much Texan stuff for obvious reasons.
Fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, he's the huge star. I mean, I was thinking about it today, or even like last week when I was thinking about, okay, we play the Texans, what's going on? Usually I know multiple players, offense and defense. I'm in Texas. I'm in Dallas, 4 hours away. I used to live there. But I literally, I only know those 2 or 3 players that play there now. I know that if I talk to any Houston fan, they would say the same thing. They've given up. They've given up wholeheartedly. So
it's very true.
If anybody's ever lived in Texas or ever lived in Houston, Houston fans, honestly, they give up very quickly, and they
have little brother syndrome here in the state.
Oh, they definitely do.
They're baseball.
This is the first
just
time.
Astro fans.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, they are. This is the first time. I mean, they are fans, especially since they've been winning. But this is the first time as a Dallas fan where I've literally heard no. I have so many friends. I went to college in Houston. I lived there for almost 10 years. Got married there. Everything. Got friends there. I still talk to. Still close to. I've not heard a peep. This is the first time where the Cowboys play the Texans where I have not heard not one iota of a word from any of them about this game. So, that tells you the kind of fans that they are.
I mean, Eastside Harold is a Texans fan who goes to all the Cowboys YouTubers videos and trolls the chat, even when they're bad, which is all the time. This year they're so bad he's not on any of. He's like, why
I
even
ain't
bother?
seen him. I forgot about him. Yeah, I haven't seen him at all.
Yeah,
he'll be back next year.
Crazy.
he'll be back next year.
Yeah, as soon as they get that top draft pick, they'll all be back. But yeah, no, I genuinely don't know, but yeah, I don't. This is one of those games where with the Colts, I was like, you know what? I know they have a good defense and I know they can win a close game.
Right.
And so I'm like, don't mess this up. We should be better and we should play better. This is one of those games where even though I don't want to feel too confident because anything can happen, it's don't play with me, bro. Don't
play with the food.
Yeah.
Don't play with the food. Oh, the Colts here, how outside of the rookie Pierce, is there another way you can see them at avenue where they can hurt the Cowboys?
I mean, we would have to turn the ball over. That's kind of a given in the NFL. If you turn the ball over, you're going to have issues. And that's what we saw in the games that they've been close in. But the Texans have led in the second half, which probably not surprising when they're 1-10-1. Fewer snaps than anybody in the league. I mean, they're just not a good football team. Hold on, let me get this bot out of here real quick. Cool. All right. So this team, I mean, I hate to say it's a boring matchup, but it really is. I mean, this team can't stop the run. We're one of the best running attacks in the league. We're probably just going to run the ball down the throat repeatedly because they haven't been able to stop anybody. Pierce is a phenomenal rookie. They're not running the ball, though, so it doesn't really matter. They're throwing the ball 63% of the time, running the ball 37% of the time. A lot of that's because they get down early and have to play catch up, and they're just not willing to stick to the run and commit to it. And you see that a lot with young offensive coordinators. They like Kellen Moore still says it this year. You know, my mindset is I want to pass the ball. It's a passing league. I want to throw the ball and air it out. It's more efficient. But when you have a quarterback that's second in the league in interceptions and you have a passing attack that doesn't scare anybody, you should stick to the run and try to play the way that the Giants do, where you play that ugly football where I'm just waiting on you to make the mistake. I know I'm not going to be out ahead, but I just need you to make that one mistake to get me right back in it. They won't stick to that game plan. So, no, there's not really a lot that scares me, barring us having some catastrophic amount of giveaways and turnovers. I think we win this game with ease.
And I like your point there as well, Spoony, from earlier on. If the Cowboys can handle business, don't play with the food as we like to talk about, you can get some work to these other guys too, right? Yeah. You can be able to get some work here to see other guys that you want to see. And I think that's the biggest thing over the next 2-game stretch with Houston and Jacksonville. Look, you got to take care of business, right? You got to clean it up. You know, you can't go to sleep. These are NFL teams, but there's an opportunity as you're ramping up for the big matchup coming down the pipeline here with the Eagles that you can get some guys some work and see what's going on as long as you're on top of your game. Like for me personally, going into this game, okay, you played the Colts, you know, and even against the Giants, like you're coming out of the gate starting slow stuff, and that script's not been very good. Need to see that cleaned up this week. Get out there early. Let's out the gate and kind of hit the ground running against the Texans and get that script going and kind of get in the mode of starting quicker than it is, because back to exactly what O said earlier. You do it against bad teams, but boy, you start playing the better teams or you're into the playoffs and you had that slow start. It puts you behind the 8 ball at times there. So we got to get a little bit better at that and give these teams opportunity, or give this team an opportunity to really see and get in a good motion here, you know, which is crazy enough to think. The differences we're talking about the two teams from last year. The team last year started out really hot and it was kind of finding their way and things were happening offensively. And on the backside here, we're seeing this team play its best football here as the season's gone along. Now, some of it is due to Dak coming back from the injury, but just on top of that, we're just seeing things happen and move forward, even with this defense, because the turnovers wasn't happening earlier with the defense. But boy, the defense is starting to, with the pass rush that they play, we're seeing the turnovers, as the stat was up there earlier. We're +9 right now, number 2 in the league. Getting 5
I love where we're at right now.
Yeah. But now you have 2 more games to keep snowballing and working that realm in that way up to this big matchup with the Eagles. So I like where it's at. The big thing for the Cowboys going to this, there's no reason for you to lose this game. Kobe system, more. Go out here. Okay, yeah, you ramped up in that 33 points in the fourth quarter was great against the Colts, but it was 21-19 late in the third quarter. How about let's do it the other way? Let's just go ahead and put this thing away so you can get to that help and see these other guys play in the second half. You can rest some of these starters and get even healthier in that realm. That's where I will be at looking at this game and where we're headed. So we have a tweet, though. We have a tweet. Professor O, Des tweet a little something.
Oh. 13 minutes ago.
13 minutes ago. This just happened.
Wow. Interesting. Well, OB Spoony J said what he had to say. I don't know.
Man showed up and he said,
Hold on. How many minutes ago was OBJ on with us? 14 minutes ago?
Yeah. Right? About 14 minutes ago. And then Des tweeting the OBJ.
How convenient.
How convenient.
We're in this era right now where, like, a tweet with a pawn chess piece goes out and everybody's like, what does it mean?
What does this mean?
Is he actually playing chess?
So true.
Is he saying he's playing chess, not checkers?
Yeah.
Is he saying he feels like a pawn? Like, what does it mean? Like, not everything that's out there, we're trying to, like, number 23, that movie with Jim Carrey, we're trying to, like,
oh my God,
find reasoning for it.
Right, great movie. Yeah.
It was an interesting tweet, though. I mean, Des, you know, Des, it could be something business related because
Could
the
be.
tweet right before that was Des Bryant. That was earlier in the day, talking about making businesses without gimmicks, but he was kind of pushing the NFT stuff.
Right.
And we know that Des is big on marketing and networking, so it could be something like that, not connected at all, or it could be that maybe
It is connected.
I mean,
Just
you
never
know,
know.
they've been friends for a while, you know.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is.
You know,
So let's, you know, let's go ahead and spin the block here on these Texans. Let's go ahead and get some scores. Mary, it's been a while since you gave one of these. Cowboys, Texans, noon game.
Okay, well, when I found out Davis Mills was starting, that didn't change shit for me.
Okay.
I made a putt. Davis Mills, Meek Mill, Crack Kills, Cowboys by 20.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it, but that was my post. So 45-19.
Oh, back-to-back 19s. 45-19. Okay, Spoony. Cowboys, Texans. What do you have here for the score?
1 second. 7, 40, 21, 25, 42, 48, 54, 63. I got 63 to 10.
Do you know what will happen? You know how
I'm
many heads will explode if that happens?
I'm going to say this. You know why I'm going to say this? The reason why I picked my score in the 60s because again, we said earlier they listen, they hear what the fans, the networks, everything, everybody says, right? Now, again, is that a realistic number, a realistic score? No, it's not. But because they did something last week that hasn't been done in a long time, the networks came out and just trashed them. It's nothing, X, Y, and Z, y'all in the third. You don't think they heard that? Or Michael didn't get a sack or nothing like that? You know, Micah had to go with a fan. A fan came out and said something about Micah's stat pattern. He goes, "I was always taught that when I'm at the table, you never come to the table to everything."
Thanks, guys. Love y'all.
So this is and here's another thing. We all know how Jerry feels about the Texans. You know, you guys are. I don't like you guys. You're all the neighbors we don't like. This is a game that I think Jerry's gonna say, don't take the foot off the gas. I want you to go in there and go all out. Give them a memory they'll never forget. So again, that is why I picked. They were scoring that. They were a touchdown away from scoring the 60s. It's gonna happen.
Ooh.
Run it up. Leave no doubt. We got somebody on the 63 train with you. Shot a Raging Gabe said they're on the 63 train.
Got two.
I like this too, Aisha.
Two
Oh,
63.
no, there's another 63. Okay, Miss Mills in the building.
You go, Miss Mills. There you go.
Definitely health. Definitely health. No ifs
Facts.
about that. What you got for this game, man?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the Debbie Downer after a 63-point performance by Spoony, but I definitely think the Cowboys win this game easily, but I don't foresee a 50-plus score. I think you're looking at more of like a 34-9. I don't think the Texans are going to do much offensively against us. So I'm going to go 34-9. No touchdowns allowed, just 3 field goals.
Now, that's what I said about the damn Colts last week. And damn it, they got a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, I was mad. I was like,
Mad about those touchdowns. They
how
scored
dare
54
you
points. They
allow
got
this?
they've only scored 15 points per game. They got the 19. Yeah, I think there's somewhere the Cowboys kind of get up. Maybe I'm just a wishful thinker here with my more scenario of that they will get up early. I do think they want to get some of these younger guys some playing time and get them built up. I think they kind of have a plan of ramping up over the next couple of games going into this matchup with the Eagles. So I think they get up. I'm going to go 38. But they'll get a touchdown. I think they'll get I think they'll get a daggum touchdown. I think 38-13. I was going to go 38-10, but I'm going to go 38-13 is where I'm at. Cowboys win the game 38-13.
Close.
Yeah, right there. But Spoony, dadgummit, he said 63, and boy, Mary's back. She is the leader of Don't Tuck It, Let It Hang. And dadgummit, in the spirit of Mary coming back, I'm all in, dadgummit Spoon. We're going 63-9. We're going 63-9. I ain't going to tell
DJ's in.
Mary's in.
We
I'm
got
going to let it hang. I'm going to go with my guy Spoon. I'm going 63-9.
So I'm going to let it hang on something else. First off, we're already getting bold predictions, which we haven't even done yet. We usually do that on Friday, but the chat's already letting it go. So we got our guy Mendoza. Shout out to him. Mike is getting his first INT this game.
He was close this past game. He was close. He had his hands on it. He just
our guy Tyrone Church, shout out to him, says Boss Man Fat gets his first interception this game. And what's funny is both of those could be true because this team turns the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cowboys are going to rush for 330 yards. I think we're going to run all over them.
If we rush for that, we're definitely scoring 63.
I mean, yeah, you might.
It's 100% possible too because
we go 330 rushing yards.
Oh, let's go!
I think we get 100 plus from Zeke, 100 plus from Pollard. I think one of the two, probably Pollard, has a monster day. I think we see Malik Davis put up 60-ish. So yeah, I think we're gonna end up.
I love that prediction.
Speaking of Malik, I gave a bold prediction earlier this year whenever Zeke was out that he was going to take one from 40 out. Wasn't quite 40, but he did take one to the house here against the Colts. Malik's got a little juice in his legs. Don't get fans or butts about it. He does. I love it, though. I love the 300-plus yards rushing. I'm with it. I mean, Mary, you want to give a bold prediction for the game since, I mean, it's kind of the flow has kind of went that way all of a sudden. Look at Spoon. Spoon's ready to give a bold prediction right now. Look at this.
Look at here, guys.
Hold on. We'll go Spoon. Spoon's ready to give a bold prediction. Gives you a couple seconds there, Mary. What's your bold prediction, Spoon?
My bold prediction is Dak throwing 5 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Oh, we're going, guys. We can't score 100. We're getting 300 and some odd yards rushing, and Dak goes for 5 touchdowns.
Let me find out.
We're going to score 100 points. That's not.
Maybe it's one of those where, we used to say like Zeke vultures touchdowns from Dak, right? Like we'd get in the red zone. Maybe it's one of those things. Like we run all over them, and then every time we get in the red zone, we throw it for the touchdown.
Score. Right.
A lot of 1 and 2 yard touchdown passes.
Like the Kelsey 4 touchdown game a couple of weeks ago. He had like 20 yards but 4 touchdowns.
Exactly.
I like it. I'm with it. I like that bold prediction of the 12 sacks there. Bold prediction for me, I will go with. I saw the D-Law thing earlier. I think Micah has a monster game. I think Micah 4 sacks.
Ooh.
I'm going Michael Parsons 4 sacks this game. That's going to be my bold prediction. How about that?
Ooh, man.
That's where I'm going. Micah cements Defensive Player of the Year. Wild game. All right,
he's
Mary.
already like minus 1,200 or something. Like
I know
by far, but if he has a game like
just
that,
keep going. Just keep going. More.
Just go and do the award next week.
Yeah, just give him. Yeah, Curtains get the award. Mary.
I do think it's going to be a defensive player. I think.
Okay. Ooh.
I think we see some more Deron Bland. But I don't know what.
It's another 2-piece, another 2-piece interception.
I think that confidence is soaring. It's like, ooh, and that's a huge in a position like that. I mean, the way he got that ball in that last interception, like he wants
my ball.
It. Yeah, it wasn't meant for that guy. It was meant for me.
Yeah.
if he gets one more interception, he'll have 4 interceptions as a rookie. Who's the last Cowboys defensive back to have 4 interceptions as a rookie?
Terrence Newman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say it wasn't Trayvon.
It's been a long time. So
yeah, it's been a while.
It's definitely been a while. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, look, somebody right there with me. That's where I'm at. Oh, Bruce, those are the rookie numbers. Get them up. 4.
Micah's been having to listen all week about Nick Bosa.
Get them rookie numbers up there, Bruce.
He's not trying to hear that. He done heard about Nick Bosa too much this week, so he gonna get that up there.
10-4.
So that's a good one.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, at around this time, we turn it over to the resident pastor, if you will. Now, I know he's a man of many coats. He's a man of many hats, if you will. He was able to bring OBJ out for us, and we saw how that trended all the way to Twitter with good old Des Bryant showing the picture out there. Then now we have the pastor in the building, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the one, the only, as I find the banner, as I use filler words to do that thing for Spoonie Sermon, ladies and gentlemen.
Fear. What is fear? Fear is a belief. It's an unpleasant emotion with the belief that something dangerous is coming. That's wicked. It's not a good feeling to have fear. Well, it's the way the Dallas Cowboys have been playing, the way they've been treated around the media for all the good they've been doing. It's not because of they're a bad team. It's because fear is amongst everything outside of Cowboy Nation. That's what it is. Last week, as we hopped on that train, we stopped by the Colts. We annihilated the Colts. We put fear in the Colts. We took their souls. We're back on the train. And everybody understands that where we're going, where we're trying to get to, there's teams that we got to cross. We have to get by those teams. Next up, Houston Texans. See, Houston, the Cowboys can't challenge the network. They can't challenge the people who think bad about them. But what they can do is take that as fuel and take it out on the next opponent. See, that is something that's going to happen this Sunday. I understand your fear. You don't want to show up. You don't want to play. You want to cancel this game. I would too. I definitely would too. Because what we have is, what did Michael Parsons say earlier? He says, my mama raised me to finish my food. Meaning, I leave me on the plate. See, on that plate. He's starving. He's hungry. He didn't eat that good last week. He had a stomach ache. See, this week, after drinking that Pepto-Bismol, after getting the acid medicine done, he is starving. He can eat chicken, grease, whatever's on that plate. And he's going to have it. He's going to enjoy it. Take the toothpick, and it'll be nothing but Houston Texans chicken out that mouth. Ooh. See, now, again, not our fault. Not the Cowboys' fault. You blame the networks for this. Houston Texans, you're on the menu. And I'm going to tell you this right now, Eagles fans, these next two games is the appetizers. You're on the full-course meal, but we're going to take it one game at a time. We're coming for your asses.
That boy Spoonie with the sermon. Let's go. Let's go, man. Cowboys Nation, man, we appreciate you as always. Y'all know the drill. This Friday, we'll have the happy hour space coming to you live 6:30 p.m. Central. And then, of course, we're right back here in the building for the Freestyle Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully, you're knocking out the Christmas lists. You're getting everything done, ready to rock. And, boy, the Cowboys here at 9-3. We won't look past these Texans. We know we got Jacksonville after that. Boy, 10-3 and rolling in the right direction. Unlike years past, seems to be building the right way. Something to be excited for. And once again, lined up for Mary. Mary's back in the building. Mary, you here for the rest of the year? Or are we going to? I mean, is it here today, gone tomorrow? I mean, Mary.
That's the plan. I don't know if something for work comes up, guys. I don't know, but I'm planning on, rolling it through till 2023.
Yeah, you're Billy rocking a little bit. I see you do a Billy rock. That's what it is. Make sure you're kind of like what's going on in the Cowboys locker room now. You're a little under the weather, Get some emergencies, some pour it in the cup, drink it. What do you got? Whatever you got to do, sir.
I mean, I kind of like this raspy voice thing I have going on. I get my radio voice. No, I usually bounce back quick, so I have a pretty good immune system. I should be all right. But yeah, I just want to give a quick little message of encouragement right now because it's the season of giving. We talked about it in our group, but help out somebody if you can. Our guy Jesse Hawley we had on the show has Hawley's Helping Hands.
Yes.
they have a great foundation where they help a lot of people in the community and, try to make Christmases special. So if you have any extra at all that you can give, reach out to somebody in your network, check in with some of your Facebook friends, reach out to your aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever, see if you can help bless them. So definitely encourage you guys to do that. If you have any extra this year, share it. If you don't, no problem. Don't worry about it. Maybe in the future you'll be able to, but we want to make sure that we help out too. So if there's something we can do to help you guys out, feel free to reach out to us and let us know. But yeah, I highly recommend if you can help out this year. There's a lot of people that have been struggling the last few years with the way that the job market's been and things like that. So reach out to your network, see if you can be a blessing to them. And we appreciate everything you guys do with us. We'll definitely talk. Obviously, we have more games before Christmas, but I just want to plant the seed now.
Yeah, no, 10-4. 'Tis the season to give, for sure. And if you got it, definitely go out there and give. And Spoonie, once again, great sermon. Keep make sure you keep tabs on with OBJ. We might need him here at any moment and bring you back to the channel and see, the little updates here and there. Good sir.
He loves y'all. He loves y'all. He says without a doubt, anytime you need him, he'll definitely come by.
And there it is, conversation. Y'all be safe for the rest of the night. Make sure you tune back in come Friday. Hey, man, tell a friend to tell a friend, man. It's free 99 to share and help us keep growing this channel and what we're doing. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us as always. Be blessed and safe. Go Cowboys.
Bye.